always good to see you all. I think we've got 16 people so far. If you can, just pop a comment on LinkedIn. Let me know that you can see me. And can you read my t-shirt? That's the main thing. One of my favourite ones. They are charity t-shirts. So if you want a new t-shirt, go to Paiger, paiger.tmill.com, and there's some quite funny t-shirts on there. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate you all. Right, let me share my screen so you can see the presentation. Unless you can see it already. I'm not sure. Let's find out. Right, cool. Philly, can you start the presentation? Let me know when it's there. Beautiful. See, there you go. So Philly's on the call as well, but you can't see her, but I will be referencing her throughout the call. It's not just a made-up person, I swear. So, hey everyone, thank you very much for joining me. Really appreciate you letting me know that I'm live. First minute or so. It's always interesting with technical issues, blah, 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 blah. Ironically, I'm a techie, so I do know how tech works. I've been in the recruitment industry now for 17 years, but never a recruiter. I'm a tech guy through and through. So started my career as a software developer at a company called Broadbean, worked my way up the career ladder there, became CTO, and then had this crazy moment where I thought I'd start my own business. And yeah, that was coming up to 7 years ago now. So Paiger's 7 years old. We now work with just shy of 1,000 recruitment staffing companies. And a lot of what we've done has been through LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn as a tech person. You know, the idea of cold calling, it scared me. It really did. So yeah, LinkedIn was where my go-to was to build the business. And I think it can be part of your arsenal for every recruitment business out there. LinkedIn's going to play a key part. Way beyond, you know, the paid side of LinkedIn, way beyond the job slots, way beyond the searching. LinkedIn's far more than a job board. And today I'm going to take you through why your employees' LinkedIn networks are your business's net worth. So without further ado, let me go through the agenda. Next slide, please, Philly. So we're going to cover three interconnected areas. What we want to establish is the need for recruitment agencies or firms to take how they enable recruiters to build networks seriously. It's just too big an opportunity to think it's okay just to encourage our people to post on LinkedIn. It needs to be way more than encourage them. You know, your teams need structured approaches and processes and systems to make that time spent more effective and more profitable. So we're going to take you through these three things today, and I'm looking forward to it. So the value of your employees' LinkedIn networks, AI automation, LinkedIn networking, and the network of networks. So let's go into part one. So the value. Now, as business leaders, I'm sure you're all familiar with this Tim Sanders quote, right? I'm guessing we've all benefited from it too. I know I have. People in my network that I've met over the years often come back in the future in helpful ways. I would have not predicted at the time of meeting. My network is filled with people that I've met over the last 17 years, right? Something most of us probably also do is encourage our recruiters to network. But actually, it's not that's powerful. So I want to change this saying a little bit. So if we can go to the next slide. Where have we gone? There you go. So it's your employees' LinkedIn networks are your business's net worth. So if you think about it, it's not really now. It's not the people. It's not the company pages, right? We used to think that we've got to get people onto the company page, but actually it's the employees' networks that are your business net worth. So I want you to change that saying inside your head. I want you to start thinking about that slightly differently. I appreciate it's not quite as catchy, but it's far more powerful. So let's go into some science now. For some of you who are not aware, there is science behind the LinkedIn algorithm. Probably something you're not expecting me to talk about is science, but I do love it. So the network effect theory is actual science, but it's quite obvious what it is. It's the exponential reach that you can have. The more people in your network, the greater compound of those total connections, strengthening the overall network. So if you think about it, it's really, really key that the people in your network are the right people, and the right people then see the other content. So if somebody likes it, it's going to have that repeat effect. So it's really, really key that you don't just have your network filled with people that aren't relevant. So if we look at the next slide, we know that actually the average recruiter's got 2,000 connections, and you're allowed up to 100 and 250 connection requests per week. So that tells me that we're not utilizing what we're able to do on LinkedIn, right? We're not actually utilizing the amount of connection requests we're doing per week. So if you think about it, it's really surprising that a recruiter's only got 2,000 connections. They can send up to 100 connection requests per week, which means that they're not actually using it to its full potential anywhere. It's probably the biggest opportunity that's being missed right now, because what we end up doing is not looking into our database first, not looking into our network first. Even though we're building these things up, we end up going out to job boards, searching LinkedIn, even though we could have these people in our network right now. We could be nurturing those relationships. So we're stuck in a bit of a pay-to-play model as a business, right? We're constantly paying to play, even though we've probably got people in our database and we could have them in our networks. And that's because we're not doing the basics. We're spending so much money to get in the room, and then we're just not talking to people. It's like going to a networking event and then just not actually talking, just standing in the corner. And the biggest thing is you need to go to these events and talk. LinkedIn's no different. If you think about LinkedIn as a networking event and you've got to turn up each day, turn up to the event and actually talk, it's the biggest missed opportunity, but you've got to make sure you're talking to the right people. So let's go on to the next slide. I don't want to stand in and tell you to get every recruiter to start sending out 100 requests per week, right? Not aimlessly. You need to have an aim in mind. It's a trap that people are already falling into, and it's a bit of a historic way that where people have gone, this is how I need to build up my network. It's not intentional, far from it, but people think that you need to go out and send it to that many people. But your networks must be niche. So you should be telling people to ditch all their old connections. Now that's quite a big statement, right? But if you think about school friends, people from past companies who don't work in the same sector, they are not valuable to you one bit. Keep your school friends on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, but LinkedIn should be all about the people you want to do business with, whether they're candidates, whether they're clients. If you change industry, let's say you were an IT recruiter before, but now you're in education, well, actually, most of your IT connections are now worthless as well. So I'd be proactively requesting to connect with as many relevant people as possible, clients, candidates, prospects, but make sure they're in the niche. There's no point having 20,000 connections, but none of them are actually doing what you actually want to do. So niche down your networks has got to be the key thing. If you think about it, we know that they're going to achieve higher engagement if they do that. LinkedIn themselves have said it's 45% more in higher engagement if they have a niche network. So if you're educating your teams right now, if you've got a new recruiter joining the business, please don't just say to them, look, you need to get your LinkedIn connections up. That tends to be what we say. Say to them, I want you to research people in your niche, people that are prospective clients, people that are current clients, candidates that you want to work with, not with a view to getting their CV, just with a view to having them in your network, because they will help you reach the right people. So be really, really targeted with the people you connect with, and be really picky as well. Ditch your old school friend. I know it's horrible to say, but it will also help with your posting. A lot of the reason people don't want to post is, oh, what will my friends think of me? Well, number one, if you're worried about what they're going to think of you, are they really friends? Probably not. But also just don't have them on there in the first place. Much, much easier just to get over it and get yourself posting. So let's move on to the next slide. So here's why. If this strategy is applied, then it creates a good foundation for the recruiter to be creating and sharing content on LinkedIn, right? Now, when you publish content, it's shown to roughly 10% of your network. That's a random 10% from your connections. It could be anyone. So if it is Jane from uni, and hi Jane if you're watching, you want it to be a really good 10%, right? You don't want it to be 10% of random people that won't actually care about the content you're posting, understand the content you're posting, have an interest in that content. So they won't engage with it. If your engagement from that 10% is positive, LinkedIn shows it to more people. So if you think about that, you've got to really maximize your chances of that 10% being relevant. And if your overall network engages, it's shown to people not in your network. So the first thing to do is think about getting the right 10%. And the only way to do that, to have some control over it, is to niche down, is to delete people. Adam, I'm just seeing your question. Yeah, is to delete people that are not in your niche. Because otherwise that 10% that it gets shown to, you're not in control of it. You're no way to know that those people are going to be the right people to see that content to make sure that you reach the right people. So absolutely, yeah, do go through and delete people that are not in your niche. Let's move on to the next slide. So in a study by SIA, which I love, actually, by the way, loads of great data on SIA, 75% of firms that encourage individual networking content sharing saw a notable increase in qualified leads. One of the big things I'm talking to people every single day, it feels like right now, is there's a big focus on finding new clients. For a long time, we've been servicing the same clients. There's a big focus right now on finding new clients. And sharing content on LinkedIn is one of the best ways to do that, as long as your network is niched down. So putting the right structure in place and guidance and setting the expectations that recruiters intentionally build a network will build a better network, right? You have to do these things purposely. These things don't happen by accident. So the first thing to do is put a structure in place, put a process in place, and be very purposeful with what you're trying to achieve. And then sharing content with that network will then increase the chances of receiving inbound leads. Let's move on to the next slide. Oh, bear with me, I've gone to the wrong screen. There we go. So part 2, let's move on to AI and automation in LinkedIn networking. Let's go to the next slide. So we've covered the importance of a niche network for recruiters. Not niche, not relevant, won't give any reach to your content. But when it comes to the content, we have the controversial topic of AI and automation, right? It's a hot topic, but it's also quite controversial. And one thing I will say is that pure AI content isn't terrific, right? Now, obviously, Paiger is a tool to help you write content using AI. And I'm telling you this, AI should be the first draft. You need to have that human involved. It's not actually hard to use AI to do the legwork, right? It's all about playing the AI where it's strongest. And I like to think of that as in the center of midfield, between a solid human back four and a few humans out front, if you think about it. So you get out what you put in. There's value in doing stuff, this stuff, right? So you need to be prepared to put some time in, but you should use AI to create efficiencies, right? Now, people say, oh, you don't get the engagement, but actually there's studies that shows a 6% increase in engagement when AI content is customized through prompts and human edits. So for me, the number one reason people don't post on LinkedIn is writer's block. They don't quite know how to say things. They know what they want to talk about, but they don't quite know how to say it. Or if you think about a 360 recruiter now, you've got to be good at resourcing, you've got to be good at sales, account management, and then throw in copywriting as well. It's a really, really tough ask, right? It's almost a unicorn person that can do all of those things absolutely brilliantly. And this is where AI can help you. AI can help you to create that first draft of your idea. And that's why when you think of it as a first draft with that human edit, that's where it's going to be really, really powerful. Let's go on to the next slide. So AI is also very, very good at research. So researching and drafting long form content for articles and blogs. It's not simply about the next LinkedIn post. And whether AI helped to create longer form content or not, AI can be used to repurpose and get more mileage from everything created. If you think about it, we don't recycle our content anywhere near enough. We post it once and then we think, right, that's it, done. I need to create something new. When actually using AI, you can recycle, repurpose your content really easily. You may have had that great idea. Well, let's treat that idea with respect and actually you reuse it multiple times. It's about positioning where AI can do its job best, right? So if you think about it, rather than trying to do it once and do something and thinking the AI has failed because the post sounded like AI, that means that you've got to improve your prompt. So you're going to build a friendship with AI. You're going to get to know it. And it's really, really important you do, because actually long form content is shared 200% more. So you need to, if you're going to produce this long form content, you need AI to be your best friend here. You need to help it research, especially if you're in a really niche technical field. It's going to be a really, really powerful thing. If you do have a blog post you've written on your website, that's fantastic. Let's use AI to turn that into 5 or 6 LinkedIn posts, which you can do in a matter of seconds. It's going to be your tone of voice, your wording, but we're just taking that long form content that you've produced and creating that LinkedIn content for you. So yeah, AI can be a really, really good friend. But think of it as a midfielder. Think of it as, I'm an Arsenal fan, so think of it as Odegaard, right? It's going to help you with that creative play, but you've got to put the ball in the back of the net. So let's move on to the next slide. So something recruitment businesses owners and recruiters often tell me is they don't bother with posting on LinkedIn because it's just a load of other recruiters posting the same stuff, right? There's a reason for this. You decide who's in your network. So coming back to the network piece, if you're connected to other recruiters, yeah, you're going to see content from other recruiters. Now, this is a big thing. You are not your audience, right? You are not. You decide who's in your network. You decide which content you see. If you're all just connected to each other, you're going to see a lot of content from each other. And that goes for your colleagues as well. So I'm not saying don't connect to your colleagues. That would be pretty rude, but you can unfollow people. Everybody at Paiger, I really hate to say this, but I do unfollow you on LinkedIn. I don't want to see other people from Paiger. I want to see potential clients. I want to see my current clients. That's what I want in my LinkedIn network. So yeah, be quite brutal with the unfollow button as well. You want your news feed to be really, really valuable to you, and it's the audience you want, right? So you're not your audience. And no matter what your feelings are about what you see from your network, it doesn't apply to your audience. You need to really niche down again. And if you want to stay connected to someone, unfollow them so that you can actually see that great content coming through. And then you need to be part of the newsfeed of your audience, right? So posting creates familiarity, right? We say that there's like touch points. There used to be, I think it was 5 touch points before someone trusts you, wants to do business with you. I'm a big believer in the digital world. That's more like 20 to 30. And a touch point doesn't have to be a meeting or a phone call. It can be something as simple as seeing a LinkedIn post. It can be as simple as you commenting on their LinkedIn post. That's why you need to make sure that your newsfeed is filled with your audience, the people you want to see, so you can actually interact and build up those touch points. Let's move on to the next slide. So automation to scale. Scheduled repeated posts, repurposing popular content enables that scalability and repeat engagement from your audience, right? If AI can help us create content, as long as we're the editors, then automation is what can help scale the LinkedIn networking strategy. Scheduled content and specifically repeated versions of something that has quality and substance is critical here. So if you have a good post, repurpose it, reuse it. Your audience is not on LinkedIn as much as you are or your recruiters are. I think this is really important to remember. We live inside a LinkedIn bubble where we think everyone's on LinkedIn all day. They're just not. They're not, right? So you can repurpose, reshow your content. Really, really key. You need to get over the fear of repetition. A lot of people say to me, oh no, I can't post that, I've already posted it. That testimonial, I've only shared it once. That testimonial was absolutely brilliant, and you probably showed it to 2% of your connections. Why would you not reshare it? So don't be afraid of repurposing, reusing content if it's good, evergreen content. If you think about it, there's a reason that McDonald's has a same message on every 10 bus stops in a row, right? I've seen it before. You go, oh, McDonald's advert, McDonald's advert, McDonald's advert. Do you know what? I quite fancy a Big Tasty, actually, with bacon and probably a strawberry milkshake. And I wouldn't have got to that point if I didn't see the advert 4 times. So don't be afraid of resharing content, because you never know when they're going to want a Big Tasty. And by Big Tasty, I do mean your recruitment services. So there we go. Let's move on to the next slide because I'm getting hungry. So let's talk about investing human time where it counts. So things like indicators such as likes, comments, and profile views, these are all signal opportunities for direct engagement. And recruiters who then engage manually with these top engagers are likely to convert more of these interactions into meaningful conversations. At the end of the day, everything I'm talking about here is to drive more conversations. I'm a big believer that recruiters' jobs is to talk to people, and that's on the phone, in person, meeting people. The more conversations you have with a recruiter, the more money you're going to make. And that will not change no matter what technology advancements we have in the next 5 to 10 years. Recruitment is a human to human business. And ultimately, everything you do needs to be the outcome of a conversation. So who cares about likes and comments? Let's talk about likes and comments. Well, you would if you had a relevant network. So many people say, I don't care how many likes and comments I have. I agree if your network isn't relevant. But if you've got a relevant network, suddenly you're going to really, really care. If you think about it, if your network is nonsense, 100 likes is pointless. You're not going to check these people out. You're not going to visit every single profile that likes your post. But if you had 10 likes from your niche network, it's a different story. You're going to invest the time to actually thank them, connect with them, interact with them. So when AI and automation are used to facilitate the growth of your networks, manually meshing relevant people who've engaged with you is a no-brainer. So actually, I'd rather you get 10 likes from people that are really hyper relevant than 100 likes from people that aren't. 100 likes is just massaging your ego, and I love that. It's great. It makes us feel good, gives that dopamine hit, but it doesn't make us money. And ultimately, what I care about when it comes to LinkedIn is making money, and obviously big tasters as well. But don't underestimate profile viewers. So many people get caught up on likes and the comments when actually profile viewers are the norm. So every single post you do, every single comment you make, people see your headline, they see your face, they see you, and people click onto your profile. But so many people aren't actually tracking that. They aren't actually looking at the stats, the information that LinkedIn can give you, and then following up. Often in recruitment, people might not want to comment or like your content. Maybe that'd be an indicator to their boss that they're looking for a new job, so they can't interact with you, right? Because that'd be like a big wave to their employer. Yeah, everybody, I'm looking for a move. But they could view your profile, right? If they've actually viewed your profile, that tells me maybe they're interested in the conversation. So you should be tracking who's viewed your profile and reaching out to them. Now that is not scalable if your network's not niche. So it all comes back to, again, having a really good niche network means that these indicators such as likes, comments, and profile views are worth your time, are worth your investment. And when you do that, you're reaching out to relevant people that will then make you more money. Let's go on to the next slide. So part 3, the network of networks. Let's jump into it. If you have 50 recruiters all applying these ideas and building niche networks that they add value to, you've created a network of networks, right? A network of networks. That is your business and brand regularly reaching the right people. Much like brand visibility via employee advocates, this reach is not something you can compete with using other methods. So if you've actively encouraged and helped your employees to build and engage with a high quality network, you've unlocked something many people do not. It's so invaluable. So you can actually see a 4 times increase in brand visibility through these types of programs, but you have to really do it purposefully. I keep coming back to it because so many people think these happen by chance. It doesn't. You need to sit down and go, right, as a business, we are going to invest in the network of networks. We're going to make sure our recruiters have got highly relevant people they're connected to. We're going to make sure the content they produce talks to that audience. And then we're going to encourage them to actually be part of the conversation. They're going to network the room. And that room is profile views, likes, comments in other people's posts. So you need to do it very, very purposely if you're going to unlock this extremely, extremely powerful tool. Move on to the next slide. So as an example, with 50 recruiters posting 3 times a week, you would have to pay 12, 15K per year using LinkedIn ads to get the same reach. And that would be your business. And we know people buy from people, right? So 3 posts, employees per week, 50 recruiters, that's how much you'd have to spend. Now, if you think about that, do you want to spend money on ads, or do you want to actually invest in something that's yours? We speak about all the time searching your database first, right? For me, it should be the same thing when it comes to connections. You should actually use organic first and then do paid ads to reach more people beyond that, with a view to bringing them into your network whenever you can. So LinkedIn has got a way for you to reach millions of relevant people if you do it purposely. Let's move on to the next slide. So to summarize, the value of your employees' networks could be huge, but they need direction. It's a strategic decision, right? As a business owner, as a marketer, it's really, really strategic that you're not just allowing your employees to be on LinkedIn, right? If you're just, yeah, we're on LinkedIn, that's a tick box, right? That wasn't a strategic decision. That wasn't purposeful. So you need to make that purposeful decision that you're going to invest into your employees' networks, and you're going to make them highly, highly niche down, highly valuable to the business, highly valuable to the individual. You're going to make money from it, and you've decided that actually this is something that we're going to do. Much like when, I don't know how to describe it, but we're very, really good at saying, right, cold calling, we're going to make this many calls a day. And we know by the numbers, if we make this many calls, we get this many leads, and this leads to this many deals, right? You've got to think about it that we know that if we can send this post, this network is going to reach this many people, which are going to deliver this many inbound leads, which makes us this much money. Now you've got to believe that, invest in that, make a purposeful decision to embrace it, and embrace a different way of working, but with a view to always getting back to that phone call. So the phone's always king. AI and automation make it scalable and possible. So without AI and automation, you know, if you think about the list of things a recruiter has to do in a day, it's a very, very long list. And it's only getting longer. So you need to invest in the right technology to make it happen as well. So I'm a big believer that AI can actually unlock that possibility and make it scale across your business. But again, you need to have a strategy behind it. Don't just go out looking for technology because you think, oh, that looks cool. I always say to people, you don't walk into Tesco's if you're not hungry or without a shopping list, right? So on your shopping list today should be, I need a tool that's going to help my recruiters to produce more content, to make sure they're reaching their niche network, but actually adding value to that network, and that will create the conversations. So be really intentional with how you want to use it. And then think about engagement strategies, automate engagement strategies. It's more than using automation to do repeated tasks and legworks. It's to enable more human-to-human time. For recruiters and salespeople, this is about having your network work for you behind the scenes while you talk to more people in person, on the phone, and video. So I always come back to, we're a human-to-human industry. You need to use these tools, use these AI automations to drive more conversations. You know, each employee's current and future network has the potential to create revenue. Some will happen without much intervention, but mostly direction and strategy needs to be purposeful. but it will be worth it because each of these networks combined will be a bigger total network and reach for your business and brand. So if you actually now, today, think, right, what's our strategy for 2025? It's going to build network of networks. We're going to invest into our employees. We're going to make sure they've niched down their networks. We're going to encourage them to do that. We're going to KPI it even. Then we're going to give them the tools to make sure they can actually automate and use AI where possible. And then we're going to tell them that all of these signals are the things we're going to follow up with. These signals are where you get onto the phone, and that's what's going to make you more money. And that is the end of the presentation. I would love questions in the comments. I'd love you to take a look at Paiger. Paiger is helping, like I said, 1,000 staffing agencies. So, well, nearly 1,000. I'd love it to be 1,000. If a few of you could get in touch with me, that'd be fantastic. Nearly 1,000, I should say. Yeah, any questions? I'm going to stick around and read the comments. Hopefully I didn't offend anyone with the fact I'm an Arsenal fan. No Tottenham fans watching. If there are no questions, I'm probably going to go to McDonald's and get that big tasty with bacon. Here we go. Andrew Medhurst. What about using AI automation tools to build your network? For example, meet Alfred, or do you think it's best to manually take time and look at profile post reviews, less connections? I don't want to talk about a specific tool because I don't think that's quite right. But I believe that if something's worth doing, you should do it properly. And it's got to be worth the squeeze. Is the juice worth the squeeze? And for me, building a good network on LinkedIn is absolutely worth the squeeze. So yeah, I personally think you should do it yourself. I think that the biggest thing is niche down your network and then be very personal with the people you connect to. And then you know that they're going to be adding value, they're going to be the right people. And then if people do take a look at your profile, if people do like and comment, you should reach out to them personally because you know they're worth your time. It's worth the squeeze. And Adam, yeah, to make your LinkedIn network, I do recommend removing the connections. Yes, I do. Just remember that when LinkedIn does show that post, it shows it to a random part of your network. So yeah, you need to remove people for the posting side. If they're your colleagues and you feel like you can't disconnect from them, and then do unfollow. So your newsfeed yourself is still valuable. So your newsfeed is there that you can comment and interact with other people's posts, build up those touch points. So yeah, disconnect where possible. If you feel like it's too rude to do that, make sure you at least unfollow so it doesn't block up your newsfeed. I think we've got one more question. How often should you post? I mean, I'm a big believer that ideally every single day. That's what I try to do. When I talk to other business owners about putting KPIs in, because I'm a big believer that social selling should be part of your KPIs beyond phone calls, beyond interviews out, that sort of thing. We always sort of say around 3 times a week. So yeah, try to do it consistent. The big thing is do it consistently. Don't just start one week and then fall off the wagon the next week. Whatever you're going to do, commit to it and do it consistently. It's a bit like going to the gym, which is ironic because I just want a big tasty. But yeah, you can't just sign up and think it's going to control yourself. You need to do it consistently. Question from Joshua. What's been the highest, most viral trending content themes for this year? I mean, the biggest thing at the moment is that petition, right? But we've seen enough posts about that. I think it's going to be depending on your niche, right? What I'd say is we've seen video content become a big thing. LinkedIn are investing into the video tab, creating that sort of video feed. So I think probably my biggest trend, if you like, is that video is going to be even more powerful in 25 than it was in 24. And yeah, it's important to get over yourself a little bit more. I know some people don't like posting on LinkedIn video. My first video, for example, took me half an hour to record and end up with a 30-second clip. But I was so retake. As you can probably see on this webinar now, I've learned to just be me. I think actually people value the authenticity more. I think people value the fact that there's some R's, there's some knows, and all these things. Just embrace it. Just get your phone out, record a video, one take rule, post it out there. Remember, people buy from people, and that touch point of someone watching your video is going to be so valuable. When you pick up the phone to them, they actually know who you are. I get recognized in the street. I was at Centre Parks with a family, right, and recruiters came up to me. I actually signed them as a client, and that's because of my LinkedIn content. So yeah, I'm not saying you necessarily want to be recognized at Centre Parks, but embrace video. Heidi, curious to know the full quote on your t-shirt. It says, "I asked AI to do my job because everyone else tries to anyway." It's one of our charity t-shirts. If you head to Paiger, Paiger.tmill.com, we've got all of our funny t-shirts, and they all go to a fantastic charity called George's Windmill. So they help sick kids go out for days out. So please, if you want to get a t-shirt, please do. Yeah, as I say, great Secret Santa presents, but the big thing is you're helping out a fantastic charity. Any other questions? I'm going to take a quick drink while we wait, but if not, I will shoot. Beautiful. All right, I'm going to go for that big tasty, guys, but I'm not really. But thank you very much for joining me. If anyone's got any more questions, just connect with me on LinkedIn, just Darren Westall. As long as you're in my niche, I would accept it. See you soon.